So, hello and happy new year. So today I'm going to show you or to guide you in revising KCSE paper 1. And this paper has been done just this month. By the way, today is 31st. I am recording this on 31st, but I'm going to post it on maybe tomorrow, which is will be New Year 2023. Yeah. So we are going to do mathematics paper 1 that was done just in this month, December, by the the most recent candidates. So we are going to start with the number 1, paper 1, section 1. Remember, KCSE mathematics has 2 sections. There are 2 papers, paper 1 and paper 2, and each paper has 2 sections. Section 1 has 16 questions in each paper, and it is worth 50 marks. Section 2 has 8 questions, of which you are supposed to choose only 5. Each question has 10 marks. So let's get to do it. So question 1, paper 1, KCSE 2022 mathematics. Paper 1. So section 1, question 1, read: solve for n in 6n n minus 1 is equals to 25 over n. So you are asked to solve for n in that question. So what you'll notice is that you have fractions on either sides of the equation of the equal sign. Yeah? So you need to get rid of the fractions. This you can do it by cross multiplying, so that 6n you multiply by n, and n minus 1 you multiply by 25. So here you have 6n in brackets n is equals to 25 in brackets n minus 1. So if you open this bracket, you have 6n squared, and on this other side you have 25n minus 25. So bring when you want to solve for the value of n, you're supposed to bring all other values to one side so that you remain with 0 on one side. So you have 6n squared. When you change this to the other side, it becomes negative 25n, and this one becomes positive 25 is equals to 0. Now, this is a quadratic equation. It has a power of 2. This is like quadratic equations are in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. So what you do when you have such a question, you're supposed to, there are many ways. Yeah? So one of the methods to solve this question is by use of factor method. You factor this equation so that you equate to 0, and you take each factor, you equate to 0, you can get the answer of x. So in this question, we are supposed to get, this is A and this is C. So the value of AC and B. So we are going to look at two factors that when multiplied they give you AC, and when you add them they give you B. So 6 times 25, what do you get? I think it is 150. Yeah, it is 150. So this is 150 AC, and B is negative 25. So we are going to look at two factors. When you add them, they give you negative 25, but when you multiply them, they give you positive 150. So yeah, so what we do, I think we are on the right track. So you can get factors of 150. There are so many factors. One of them is like 15 and 10. But 15 and 10, if you multiply them, they give you 150. If you add them, they give you positive 25. So that is, so what about if you have both negatives? Minus 15 and minus 10, you have minus 25. When you multiply minus times minus, you get positive, right? So this is a good factor. So we are going to use that one. We are going to say, so 6n squared minus 15n, then minus 10n plus 25 equals to 0. Higher. So let's factor these two and then factor these two. What is common between 6n squared and minus 15n? So what is common is 3n. In brackets, you have 2n minus 5. In other words, 3n gets into 6n squared 2n times, and here it gets just 5 times. Then you copy this word, this term, 6n minus 5, let's call it a factor. You want to add something here, either positive or minus a number, so that when you open it, it gives you this. So you can start with this one. 2n, you need 5, and then it is a minus. So you confirm whether it will give you the other answer correctly. So negative 5 times 2n will give you negative 10n. If you multiply negative 5 times negative 5, it will give you positive 25. So this is a good answer. So we are going to proceed and solve this. So you can continue with the, so let me just copy it. 3n in brackets 2n minus 5 minus 5, 2n minus 5 is equals to 0. You take this and this, so it is 3n minus 5, 2n minus 5 equals to 0. Now here you can say either 3n minus 5 equals to 0, or 2n minus 5 equals to 0. Because we know any number multiplied by a 0 is 0. Therefore, if the product of this is equals to 0, then either of them is equal to 0. So you will have 3n equals to 5. You take this to the other side, so that n is equals to 5 over 3. Or 2n is equals to 5 if you take it to the other side, so that n is equals to 5 over 2. Then when you have this, so you can, if you notice it is an improper fraction, you can simplify it further, so that this is 1 and 2 over 3, and this one is 2 and 1 over 2. So this is the answer. This question had 3 marks in KCSE paper 1, KCSE 2022, paper 1, question 1. This is an easy question. When I go to schools, I tell students that there are some questions that you are not supposed to fail, and this is one. When you find students who identify themselves as weak students in mathematics, get zeros or 0, 1, something, you wonder how do they fail such a question. And there are questions, as I'm going to show you in this channel and in many videos, I'm going to show you some of the questions that you can predict, and some of them include this. I've gone to many schools and I have gone to many schools and I've shown you them some of the questions that they can predict. And if some will watch this video, I know they will comment. By the way, comment there if I went to your school or you would want me to come to your school. So some of those who I went to their schools, I remember the first thing I do is that I try to predict some questions for you. And some of the questions I've predicted include this one: simple arithmetics, where I just multiply and. But the main issue maybe would have been here. And some students watakwama hapa wakitafuta the factors. I would like you to go and practice more on this. Okay? I could give you more examples, but we are going to do more of such questions or solving quadratic equations in later videos. So we proceed to the next question. So we proceed with question 2. It reads, a family used 2/5 of its monthly income on school fees. 3/4 of the remaining amount was used on family upkeep, while the rest was invested. The family invested 13,500 Kenya shillings monthly. Calculate the amount of money the family used on school fees every month. 4 marks. Therefore, now we mathematics, you are supposed to start with denoting or trying to write in simple terms what the question is. So the question says a family used 2/5 of its monthly income on school fees. So fees, what was used on school fees was 2/5 of the family salary. So what remained? If the family used 2/5, what remained is 5/5 minus 2/5 is equals to 3/5. So this is what remains. Then the question continues. 3/4 of the remaining amount was used on family upkeep. So upkeep is equals to 3/4 of the remaining. 3/4 of remaining. So of this, not of school fees. Of what remained? 3/5 is equals to 9/20. So this is what was used on upkeep. Then the question proceeds in saying, used on upkeep, while the rest was invested, the rest. So the rest was invested. So how much was invested? So it is the rest. This plus this, or what remained after this. So we could say what remained. So what remained after? So you have 3/4 of this going into upkeep. So what remains could be, is supposed to be a quarter if 3/4 of what remained was invested. So it is a quarter of 3/5, which is 3/20. So this is what was invested. Then the question proceeds and says that the family invested 13,500. So this one is also equals to 13,500 Kenya shillings. So calculate the amount of money the family used on school fees every month. So this is what, not here. We are actually interested in this. This is what we are interested in, not what remained. So we are interested on what? If 3/20 is equal to 13,500. So what is 2/5? So that is how we solve the question. We say if 3/20 is equivalent to 13,500. You could also use the equal sign. Then what is 2/5? You cross multiply. You have 2/5 and 3/20. So remember mathematics laws, when you are dividing a fraction, you can multiply it by the reciprocal. So your answer is 13,500 times 2/5 times 20/3. We have reciprocated this because it is a fraction. Now, sorry. So we need to solve this. You can use your calculator now, but this is 5. You can say 1. This is 4. And yeah, you can proceed. So if you do your answer well, you'll find that you have Kenya shillings 36,000. So you have Kenya shillings 36,000 is what the family invested. You can use your calculator. You can multiply this. Yeah, I was asking myself whether this is divisible by 3, but it is. If you add this, it will give you 9. So this is how you know whether a number is divisible by 3, because your answer now is a full number. So that's how you solve that question. Many questions of this kind come. You will find them in paper 1. Imagine this is 4 marks. So if you have 4 marks and you had 3 marks, surely just question 1 and 2, you have 4 good marks. Yeah, so as I always say, keep working, keep looking at the simple questions first. Well, I'm not the kind who advise you to, when you go to the exam room, you just look for the easy questions that you not after ile rahisi. For me, I used to do everything from top, but you can gauge yourself. I'm going to upload another video on techniques and how you can know what techniques work for you and what techniques work for others. So try to work on yourself and know your techniques. Now, but what I insist is that don't fail the easy questions. I used to go to schools and talk to Form 4s, and I always tell them, don't fail the easy question trying to look for marks in a harder question. Now, don't fail this. Don't fail this. This one just requires you to understand simple mathematics, simple English. You read the question, you understand that a fifth, a quarter of the remainder of, yeah, you see? Now, let's proceed to the next question. So we are done with question 1 and question 2. So we are in question 3. KCSE, remember we are doing KCSE 2022, paper 1. So the third question read, solve for x in the equation. So you had 5 raised to power 2x minus 1 minus 25 raised to x is equals to 500. So the first thing when you look at such a question, you notice that there are some factors of 5. So you want to raise this to make it a factor of 5, yeah? And then you split this. So here you have 5x, 5 raised to 2x minus 1 equals to 5 raised to 2x. Remember 25? Then you have 500. It is not likely that you'll be able to split 500 into anything fast. So split this. You'll have 5x, 5 raised to 2x times 5 raised to negative 1. Sorry, this one is a negative, not equal sign. Sorry for that. Then you have minus 5 raised to 2x is equals to 500. What you notice that we have 2. Our question does not have 5 raised to 2x in all factors. So for this one is different from this. So we can equate this to a factor. We could say let 5 raised to 2x is equals to n. Suppose now we are going to replace this and say then this one is equals to n times 5 raised to negative 1 minus n is equals to 500. Now what is this? This is the same as 1 over 5. If you want to remove this negative, you can say it is 5 times 1 over 5. Then minus n is equals to 500. Higher. So we proceed. So this is n over 5 or 1 over 5 n minus n is equals to 500. So this one is easy to solve. So you could say these are fifth n minus n. So you have negative 4 over 5n is equals to 500. And then you proceed. So what is n is equals to 500 times 5 over 4 and the negative. So n is equals to so you have your calculators, but let's do it. This is 125. So I think it is negative 625, and I think it is right. So this is n, but we are not looking for n, we are looking for x. So there's somewhere we said, sorry, I hope you can see. the same way we said let 5 raised to 2x is equals to n. So we are going to solve for x. So you are going to replace this and say this is n, so therefore this answer is equals to 5 raised to 2x. So 5 raised to 2x is equals to negative 625. 625 is a factor of 5. Actually, 625 is, what do you say? 25 squared is 625. So the square root of this is 25. And 25 is a factor of 5. Actually, 5 times 5 is 25. So use your calculator and find the fourth root of this. You are going to find 5, 2x is equals to negative 5 raised to 4. 5 raised to 4 is this. However, suppose we didn't have this negative sign. We would be having 2x is equals to 5 raised to 4. Because these numbers are the same, we could cancel them and equate these two. We could be having 2x is equals to 4, so that x is equals to 2. And this would be our answer. But we have a negative, and we don't have a negative this side. So this one is going to affect, we cannot cancel negative 5 and 5. Remember, this goes with the whole sign. Yeah. So this is negative. Therefore, in this question, in KCSE paper 1, KCSE 2022 paper 1, this question could not go further than this. So your answer, you could either have left it at this point, or you would say x is a complex number, or x is indeterminate. You cannot determine x at this point. So x is complex or indeterminate. Let me rub here so that you don't have so that you don't see my work as dirty or something. I don't want to confuse you. Determinate. So, apologies for this. So you could just, is it a complex or indeterminate? I hope you can read my handwriting. Yeah. So I see you can read indeterminate and x is complex. So this is all about, okay, this is question 3. Again, this is a very common question. It is drawn from logarithms and indices. How to deal with powers, especially, and this one was easy because 5, the powers of 5 are easy. Sorry, 5 squared is 25. 5 raised to 4 is 625. So it wasn't difficult. Some of the questions you don't have to let. Remember, at this point, this one now is a little bit complicated. Not really complicated, but some questions that do not have an area where you are going to let something because they are direct. At this point, you could just do like this without this negative. So it had this and this one. So, and these are some of the questions that will confuse you in exam. Ukifika hapa unashanga, why the negative? You have to go back and say you are sure about the negative. Some students maybe deleted it or just solved it, wakaendelea nayo, wakaonyesha that x could be negative 2. Need to take some note. So if you say that x is equal to negative 2, suppose you could say, now you take this and you carry the negative there, 2x is equal to negative 4. So this one would have been wrong and say that x is negative 2. It is wrong. The correct answer was x is complex or indeterminate. So we proceed to the next question. So we have question 4. The question 4 reads, Kipkoech and Tanui began a 5,000 meter race together at the starting line. Kipkoech and Tanui took 72 seconds and 80 seconds respectively to run a 400 meter lap. So let me continue. The two athletes were together again at the starting line after some time. Determine the number of laps that Tanui had to run to complete the race after they were together. So we are going to assume, I don't know whether these are perfect football, athletics field or pitch, but suppose this is the starting line. Start. So they all start and they are running. So the race is 5,000 meters. And so we have two runners, Kipkoech and Tanui. Kipkoech runs at, completes one lap at 72 seconds. And the other completes at 80 seconds. To run a 400 meter lap. So one lap is 400. You know, athletics pitch is 400 meter long. 100, and I think it was 100 or something because of the curve. And the two athletes were together again at the starting line. So remember, if one completes one lap with using 72 seconds, then the other one uses more seconds. So at 80 seconds, Kipkoech is around this point running, and Tanui is at this point. So amemwacha generally. So tunaweza angalia, what is the question? So we are told at some point they are together. Then you are asked, determine the number of laps that Tanui had to run to complete the race after they were together. So after some time they are together at the starting point. So when they are together, so Tanui, how many laps does Tanui need to complete? These are a question of LCM. So we are going to look at LCM of 70 and 80. LCM. So LC. You have 72 and 80. So we can start with the basics. 2. This is 40 and this is 36. 2, 18 and this is 20. You have 2, this is 9 and this is 10. You have 2 again, this is 9, this is 5. You have 3, 3, 5. You have 3, 1, 5. and then you have 5. So if you multiply this, you should get 5 times 3, 15, times 3, 45, times 2, 90, 180, 360, 720. So what does this tell you? The LCM tells you that these two will be back together again after 72 seconds. Yeah. And remember, the speed of Kiptanui is covers 400 meters per 72 seconds. We are assuming that they are running at a constant speed, though we know in practice it is not true. Then Kiptanui is running 400 meters at 80 seconds. So how many more laps does Tanui need to complete this journey? So we could say, so the number of laps that Tanui has completed in 720 seconds. So how many laps has he completed? He has completed, so for Tanui, laps completed in 72 seconds, you could say it is 720 divided by 80. So you should get 0, 0, and this is 7 or 9. 72 divided by 8, I suppose it's 9. Yeah, so Tanui has completed 9 laps from the time they started until they have met again at the starting point. And how many laps does he need to complete? So this pitch, they were running a 5-meter race. So they are running 5,000 meters divided by 1 lap is 400 meters. So this is how you are going to know how many laps they are supposed to run. But you could do it together and minus 9 laps, so that you know how many are remaining. So you could take 2 zeros away, and then you have 4, 1, and 4, 25, 12.5, or 12 and a half. So 12 and a half minus 9, you should get 3 and a half laps. Therefore, everyone was supposed to run 500 meters, and the pitches or the field is 400 meters. So everyone was supposed to run 12 and a half laps. But Kiptanui, by the time they were meeting again at the starting point, Kiptanui had just run 9 laps. So he had 3 and a half more laps. Now, suppose you are asked about Kipkoech. So the answer would be, so this was the answer for KCSE. But suppose you are asked, it's good to, when you're revising, it's good to think such questions and question yourself, what would happen if you were asked about the other person? So you could say, so it is, we already know it is 12 and a half laps minus, for Kipkoech, 720 minus 72. So this is 12 and a half minus 10. So remember, Kipkoech is running faster than Tanui. So Kipkoech, by the time they were meeting again at the starting point, he's already 1 lap ahead of Tanui. Therefore, he has already run 10 laps, while this is Tanui has just run 9 laps. So how many more laps does Kipkoech need to run? He needs to run 2.5, while Tanui needs to run 3.5. Yeah. So other questions could come. So how long would it take for this guy to run 3.5 laps? Remember, he is taking 80 seconds. Tanui is taking 80 seconds to complete 1 lap. So if you are asked about the time, you would multiply 80 times this. If it is for Kipkoech, he has just 2.5 laps, and again he is faster. So if you are asked about his time, you would say 72 times 2.5. So this is the time. It is 72 seconds times 2.5. That should give you something. Okay, you have your calculator. I know if you can do all this, kumaliza hiyo, and your time is in seconds. If you want to convert it into minutes, you divide by 60. For this one, if you are asked about the time, you could take 80 times 3.5 or 3.5, and you will get your answer. So we proceed to question